Greetings guys, MDGRed here again for this time part 2 of the Blender gun tutorial. Over this episode I wanted to go over basically the first parts of making the gun itself. So we are going to start by adding a reference image. So to add a reference image or images in your background you have to press N, and normally this would show up, and you have to scroll down until it says background images. Usually this is unchecked, so you need to check that, then click this thing here, and then it says add image. Then you need to click add image, and then here open, then to go wherever your image is located, select your image, open image, and now it should display. Keep in mind that this does not work if you're in a position like this. So you have to press 1 and then 5 or 3, and you need to press 5. That's for sure. 5 kind of centers your view to front, side view, or top view. Now the keys for that are 1 is side view, 3 is front view, and 7 is top view. So let's begin. So I usually start off by making a rough outline of the stock of the gun, if the gun has a stock, of course. If not, I usually start with the receiver, but in this case, we're going to start with the stock. To create a new cube, press Shift A, then select Mesh. One second, guys, sorry. Mesh, Cube, and then press Z to go in wireframe mode, like I explained in the part 1. Now to go into edit mode, press Tab, and now I can select individual faces. So now let's start by selecting this face right here and just moving it to this point. Just do it roughly, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's a rough outline of it's just a rough shape. So let's do this one right here, and this one, let's move this up a bit. Seems right. Then move this one up until you have something like this. This should be good. Now the next thing we want to do is subdivide it. In part 1 I also explained what subdivide is, so if you don't know what I mean, go watch part 1. And if not, you could always contact me on Discord if you have any questions. I'll put my profile in the description below. So to subdivide you have to press Ctrl R and then scroll up to create subdivisions. Doesn't really matter how many you do. If you have something like this, left click and then right click. Right click centers your subdivisions like so. Now we need to press this button right here, which selects all vertices. Click one, press B, and create a little square like this to select those 2 vertices on that location, and move this one down like so. Then do the same with this one, and this one, and this one. Just go over all the vertices you've created and moving them to the right location. I know this one doesn't really connect with the point here, but we'll get to that later. So like this, I'm gonna grab this one, move this one up, this one, and this one. Now it is important that you don't do too many details at once, because what I usually find is that if I did something wrong whilst modeling the gun, and I've already done a lot of details, I have to undo a lot of those details to get back to the part where where I need to reset or remove something. So it's best to I think leave the details for the last process, like maybe some holes, extra buttons, stuff like that. Now, once you have something like this, it should look good. It might look still look very weird, but that's because we need to add more subdivisions. So we'll do that by starting right here, and then scroll up a bit. You don't have to do too much. And for this part, for the butt plate, I usually move them all the way to the left, like this. And now you can do the same thing we've done before, select them and move them to the appropriate location. Like this. Now I want to move this one a little bit backwards. Same thing for this one. And this one. Seems about right. And now this one. Just remember you can do this as much as you like until you have the right shape, the overall shape you want to give this thing, the gun. Sorry. So right here, yeah, that seems about right. Now let's move to this one right here. Ctrl R, scroll up, and more subdivisions. I usually do 5 for the I don't know what people call this thing, but it's like it's the grip for your hand. But if you do too little subdivisions here, it's gonna look very weird and pointy. I'll demonstrate that in a second. So as you can see right now, it looks very pointy. It doesn't look right. So what I do is I go back to 1, Z, and I'll just add more subdivisions here. Like this, move them down, one right here. Now remember not to do this too much, since Roblox doesn't really like a lot of vertices in your model. So just do this as much as possible, but still keep in mind that it doesn't always work. So just do it for a limited amount of. Yeah, just keep in mind that it doesn't always work. Or I'm sorry, it does work, but you have to keep in mind that Roblox, or in this case, or maybe the game you're trying to make, it doesn't need to be too high poly. Because, for example, if you ever imported guns from maybe like a game like Battlefield or Call of Duty, you might notice that the details aren't really their priority, because they use a lot of texture maps to add detail that doesn't really require much mathematics from your computer itself. But that's something I will explain up to a further point in the future, because texturing is a whole nother process. But right now, as you can see, I am kind of refining a little bit of the details here. This particularly this point right here. I'm even gonna put this one a little bit closer to the edge. GX. So as you might know, in the previous tutorial, I told you about the G key, which pretty much moves your selected vertices or faces or edges. And if you press Y or X or Z, it moves them only at that on that particular axis, which is pretty handy. But I usually only use the arrows here because it's easier. But you can do whatever you like, of course. So let's move this one right here. And just keep doing this until you're quite happy with how it looks. Yeah, that seems about right. Let's add one more here. One more right here. Oh, by the way, the submachine gun I'm making is the Beretta 38, which is an Italian World War II submachine gun. It was mainly used by Italy, but also later adopted by the German army once Italy capitulated. Actually, South Italy capitulated, because North Italy kept on fighting. I think most people forget about the Italian front after 1943, since like a lot of people talk about the Battle of Berlin and stuff. While a lot of people also forget that we're still fighting in Hungary by April 1945, I believe, or at least they weren't. Berlin wasn't the only front left on the Eastern Front. They were still fighting in northern Germany, I believe, the outskirts of Hungary, and maybe even Italy. I totally forgot it. I might search up later. I don't know. Let's just continue. So I want to move this one back as well, since this is a round edge. So I'm gonna add one more right here. By the way, I usually avoid trying to do a lot of the horizontal lines because they usually mess up uh, your models a little bit sometimes. You just have to be careful with them. But yeah, that seems about right. So unfortunately, I don't have pictures of this gun from top view, so I don't really know how wide the stock is. But we'll get to that later. Um, when I finished the receiver, since if I looked at, I have some pictures of this thing angled, so I can kind of see how thick or how wide stock is, but that really depends on the size of the receiver once I'm done. So yeah, it seems pretty good. Let me add just one more right here, and one more right here. So yeah, um, things to keep in mind that whilst making your stock, actually, I'm just going to show you guys. If you really want to finish a gun right now, or just need a quick tip, if you finished your stock, uh, you probably know that stocks are not square. They don't have pointy edges or anything. They're very they usually are sanded down to have very round edges. And an easy way you can do that is by, for example, just I'm gonna scale this down a little bit to fit my purpose. Yeah, that seems about right. The scale, yeah, it's rough, but it will work. What you could do is go to right here, this little wrench, add modifier, bevel, and increase that. Right now doesn't really seem to do anything, unfortunately. Oh damn it, it just crashed. Uh, yeah, you gotta be careful with modifiers. Usually Blender doesn't really handle them. It really depends on the power of your PC. But this is a pretty cool modifiers to work with. Unfortunately, it's not really working right now. So another thing you could do is by pressing tab and by holding alt and then right clicking on one of those vertices right here, and it will select the entire edge. Uh, and you could press Ctrl B, move it up a little bit, as you can see. Oh, that's too much. And scroll up. And now you are creating a round edge. Unfortunately, it's not doing exactly what I wanted to do. So let's try it again. Ctrl B. Why is it doing this? Oh wait, I think I know. So to successfully do this, I believe you gotta press Alt at one side. Sorry guys. Alt. Come on. Ah, there we go. And do the same thing here. And now if we press Ctrl B, it still does not what I wanted to do. Damn it. Yeah, how can we fix this? Well, I'm gonna try something. I'm really sorry, guys. This is not what I expected. This, what would happen? Control V. Ah, there we go. So the trick is to size the face right here. Just press S and then Y, and you just scale this down. So as you can see right now, it is a pretty round edge, and this is really what you want. Now you also might notice that it looks very Minecraft, very blocky. A way to fix this is by going here, right here. If it doesn't show up, press T, and by going to Tools, Edit, Shading, and then pressing Smooth. And as you can see right now, it looks more like a stock, but it's still not perfect. I think the best way to finish this is by going to modifiers and then pressing using the edge split modifier, because now it really defines. It calculates edges and still keeps the smoothness. pretty well. So sorry guys, I really don't know how to formulate this, um, but this modifier basically does is it takes all round edges, keeps them smooth, but still looks at all the square edges and adds more. It's kind of a border between smoothness and hard surfaces. So as you can see right now, for example, this part is still pretty smooth, but this part is very square, as you can see. So this modifier is perfect for making um, details like the receiver later on this gun. This is perfect for that. But for now, I'm just gonna undo this all, and you can do that by Ctrl Z, as most programs use them. So this is kind of uh, the end of part 2. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you hope you learned something, and I hope to see you guys back at part 3, which should come out tomorrow. So thanks for watching, guys, and see you tomorrow.